You know that feeling, right? That warm, fuzzy pull of the past. But what if those good old days weren't quite as simple as we remember them? Well, today, we're diving deep into the nostalgia trap, and we're using Carlo Di Salvo's Backtracking, Memoirs of a Generation X Kid as our guide.
I mean, just looking at this list, does it hit you right in the feels? That feeling of waking up for Saturday morning cartoons, the sound of an old Atari firing up, or singing along to a commercial jingle you haven't heard in decades. For an entire generation, this stuff is more than just memories. It's practically a shared language.
And this quote from the author really just nails it, doesn't it? That's the core of that feeling. It's not about wanting to rewrite history or fix some mistake. It's just this deep, powerful urge to re-experience a time that felt simple, joyful, maybe even safe.
Okay, but here's where we take a bit of a turn. The author poses this really fascinating question. Were these memories we cherish so much, were they completely organic? Or, just maybe, were we being manipulated a little bit? This is where our whole understanding of nostalgia starts to get a lot more complicated. You know, this idea, bread and circuses, goes all the way back to ancient Rome. The concept is pretty simple. You keep the general population happy and distracted with plenty of food and entertainment so they don't focus on, more serious problems. The author asks, how much of our beloved pop culture served that exact purpose, keeping us happy and content with the way things were? And check this out. It's a perfect example of how this stuff works behind the scenes. So many of us remember We've Only Just Begun as this timeless, beautiful love song. But guess what? It started its life as a jingle for a bank commercial. It just goes to show you how easily commercial interests can get woven right into the fabric of our most personal, fondest memories.
And believe it or not, it gets even more layered. Di Salvo brings up this idea he calls nostalgia inception. Just think about it for a second. A movie like Back to the Future came out in 1985, and it made everyone super nostalgic for the 1950s. But now we're nostalgic for the 80s because of movies like Back to the Future. It's like a memory inside of a memory, which makes it even harder to figure out what we're really feeling.
So to really see how this plays out, let's look at maybe the perfect case study, the theme song from All in the Family. It is an absolute masterclass in how nostalgia works, because it so brilliantly separates the harmless, sweet memories from the ones that are, well, a lot more problematic.
And this breaks it down perfectly. On one hand, you've got completely harmless personal taste. Nothing wrong with loving Glenn Miller's music or old cars. That's just what you like. But then you look at the other side, that yearning for a time when, quote, guys like me, we had it made. See, that's something else entirely. That isn't just a feeling anymore. That is a political statement.
And this list really highlights the invisible privileges that made the good old days so good. For Archie, these weren't things everyone got to experience. He never had to think about any of this stuff. But for millions of other people, these were daily struggles. His nostalgia just completely erases their reality.
And this right here, this gets to the absolute core danger of weaponized nostalgia. It's when you take a personal, subjective feeling, hey, my childhood was awesome, and you try to turn it into an objective, historical fact, therefore that whole era was better for everybody. And that's the trap.
So what's the healthy way to look back? Well, the author points to another pop culture legend, Billy Joel, who just nailed it in his song Keeping the Faith. This one lyric is the perfect antidote. It lets you feel fond of the past without making it into some perfect idol, and it keeps you hopeful for the future.
And that's really the key takeaway here. History is so important. It tells us who we are, how we got here. But looking backward should be about informing our journey forward, not about convincing us to turn the car around and drive right back to where we started. The goal should always be progress, not going backwards.
So how do we actually practice healthy nostalgia? Well, this simple 4-step guide is a great way to think about it. First, absolutely embrace those joyful memories. But second, and this is crucial, acknowledge that they are your memories and not everyone had the same experience. Third, learn about the full history of that time. And finally, use all that wisdom to help build an even better future. This is such a powerful idea, isn't it? Instead of looking backwards for some mythical, perfect time that, let's be honest, never really existed for everyone, our energy is so much better spent working to create a future that could actually be a golden age for all of us.
And to bring this all home, the author uses this amazing quote from the Goonies. Every single generation has its time. Gen X had theirs, and it was special and unique to them. And it is totally okay to celebrate that, to own it, to feel like down here, it's our time. without needing to argue that your time was somehow better than anyone else's. So we'll just leave you with this final thought. Cherish your past. Remember the joy, the movies, the music, all of it. But always be critical when that personal feeling gets used as a blueprint for everyone else's future. Because the difference between a fond memory and a flawed roadmap, that's something we all really need to think about.